Hey, I'm Patricio, and this is my final evidence in your cultural challenges. So I'm gonna start. The problem or challenge I'll be focusing on is gonna be Mexico's climate policies and impacts. How is this related to globalization? Well, we can see that with globalization, especially with exportations, importations, and all the new activities that it brings, the environmental impact skyrockets. And Mexico is one of the world's 15 country with the most emissions of greenhouse gases. Mexico is contributing to the climate crisis and is taking quite a toll in the human rights around the globe. Last year, um, our president tried to make a new administration climate action plan, and he wanted to focus more on the fossils because they are controlled by the government, and he wanted to invest less in these clean energies such as solar panels, and kind of like trying to slow down that process of conversion to clean energy. Fortunately, like, his proposal was rejected on April this year, but that doesn't mean the problem is solved. We can see that in places like Tabasco, like 70% of the climate budget was used for fossils and energy fossils uh, issues and uses. Okay, so in 2020, Mexico produced over 804 million metric tons of CO2, which is quite a big number compared to other countries. And 139 million of them was particularly in transportation industry that is related with globalization and all this importation, exportation that we can see happening now more than ever. Mexico, as I said before, is the 15th country with the most gas emissions, and transportation as an industry around the globe is one of the top 3 industries with the most gas emissions as well. Okay, so geocultural elements. What are the geocultural elements regarding this problem? First, I want to focus on place. Mexico, as we know, is a very geographically diverse country. We have several ecosystems, mountains, deserts, forests, beaches. We can find almost everything in Mexico, and each place has its own unique vulnerabilities and climate-related problems. So, with the impact of all of these gas emissions, it just makes the problem even worse than it is. The traces we can find in Mexico are plenty. Mexico has a very rich historical and cultural heritage that comes from cultures like Maya and Aztec, and we can see even a bit of traces of the Hispanic heritage, even though it doesn't originate from here. It's quite big in our culture because of our history. And related to our heritage, especially in the Mayan and Aztec cultures, there was like this really appreciation for nature, and I think we can still see it, even though it doesn't shine as much right now with the conditions and problems with the climate. I do believe there is this certain relationship we Mexicans have with climate preservation. What belief systems there is in Mexico? The main belief system in Mexico would be the Catholic, and we can still see traces of other religious practices from our heritage, such as Aztec and Maya One example is Dia de los Muertos, and all these like real rights we still have. Does Mexico have any dominant and resistant powers? Yes, we have. The power dynamics play quite a significant role in our society, also in the shaping of the climate policies. Dominant powers include the government, institutions, corporations, and international organizations. And the resistant powers consist mostly of activists, indigenous communities, and civil rights and civil activist groups that advocate for environmental justice. The power dynamics in Mexico, we can see a really imbalance on power, especially with the wealthier and the power, like, and the poorer people. There's quite this significant gap, this social gap we can see, and it's quite related to the problem, because we can see that the better the economy in a country, the better the climate is going to be. As a result, we can see this in Scandinavian countries and quite a few European countries. Regarding ethnicity and gender, again, with this Indian ethnicity we have, there's this kind of relationship we have with the protection of environment, the appreciation of the environment. And finally, the sense of place in Mexico. I may sound a bit very repetitive. With the Mexican sense of place is quite deeply rooted in their connection to the land, history, and our cultural heritage. Yeah. Okay, so my proposal basically consists in two parts: in an awareness campaign and a sustainable initiatives. Both will be focused more in our community, the tech community, but the goal of this proposal is to empower and motivate students to take action for the preservation of climate, planet, and environment. The proposal focuses on achievable activities that we as students can do. Okay, so first, the awareness campaign. It will consist of organizing educational workshops and seminars, presentations within the school to raise awareness of the climate problems we are facing, its causes and impacts. We can do this by creating like engaging presentations and materials to share with the students, because if the presentations are not really that interesting, or if they're a bit lackluster, then the impact wouldn't be any meaningful in our generation. As well, to collaborate with local environmental organizations to provide resources and expertise. And the sustainable initiatives would be launching our recycling program in the school, which I believe there should be already, but it's not that prominent yet. At least I haven't really heard any details about it. So maybe making it more known and making it more common. Also advocate for more energy efficient energies and practices, such as turning off lights, trying to save as much as energy as possible and not wasting these resources. So then, what partnerships? The partnership we will do will consist in engaging with school administrations and teachers to integrate climate change and sustainability topics into our curriculum. Also collaborate with local communities, such as organizations, clubs, or youth clubs, to expand the impact of our initiatives, as well as to participate in local and national climate action campaigns and events to amplify our message and connect with like-minded people. What's the desirable outcome? I would say I have four main desirable outcomes, which is increased awareness and knowledge of the climate, adoption of sustainable practices within the school, enhance engagement and empowerment of students in climate action, and finally, strengthen partnerships with local organizations and create broader impact beyond the school. The stakeholders involved would be the students, the teachers, the school administration, the local community, peers and community members, the cultural elements and power dynamics. Well, within the school environment, power dynamics may be influenced by age, we can say status and hierarchies, especially with student-led groups and teacher-led initiatives. But we should aim for a fostering culture of collaboration and shared responsibility. The resources we would need would be human resources, time and effort, knowledge and skills about the topic, support from teachers and staff, and also collaboration with local organizations. Well, finally, conclusion, well, to try to keep it as brief as possible. First, considering cultural aspects, I do think it's very important to consider these cultural aspects of an issue, because we have many factors such as cultural influence, like how culture influences people's beliefs, values, and behavior, and it really plays a role in shaping our perspectives on an issue such as climate change. So in the planification of this proposal, using all these cultural elements really guided the approach I wanted to take, and also making the strategies more particular and effective by knowing our stakeholders, knowing like the cultural situation and factors. Then, as a student, a responsible citizen in a globalized world, the roles that I have would be cultural sensitivity, like being aware of all the different cultures we have, respecting them and tolerating them as well. Also engaging in these cross-cultural collaborations, trying to be involved with them, and also gain knowledge and also share my own culture with them, as well as promoting and understanding and advocating for cultural preservation and diversity. So that's all. Thank you for your attention.